In today's special minisode, I'm here with guest Mary Virzi to discuss the healthcare technology trends she sees being most impactful in 2022. Mary, as we head into this year, what are the major trends you see in the healthcare technology sector?
So I think there are a few macro trends, mostly accelerated by, obviously the COVID-19 pandemic that are really driving change within the healthcare tech sector. And I'll say two of them primarily are one, the overall adoption of technology and digital solutions that were so crucial during the pandemic. Think telehealth, other digital solutions that replace those in-person engagements or connections. I think the second major macro trend is really the overall health of the economy, especially in the US, which is leading to an influx of available cash in and around healthcare that is driving a lot of investment around technology. And really those two macro trends are really driving a few more very specific trends within healthcare tech. I think there's about 4 or 5 of them I'll go through. The first one, virtual care expansion. So we're seeing obviously telehealth and digital platforms gaining really broad traction over the last 2 years. And we're really starting to see them start to consolidate and really pick up really like I said, broad traction in the marketplace and continued adoption. The second is around the decentralization of clinical trials and the use of devices and wearables during those trials. Given everything that happened during the pandemic, obviously clinical trials were greatly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Third, the criticality of data and the use of data as a product has really taken off over the last, I'll say like 18 months, and I think will continue to take off in 2022. And I think with that is the adoption of actionable AI, machine learning. We're really starting to see the right use cases sort of pick up in the marketplace, specifically in healthcare. And I think we'll continue to see that in 2022. The fourth piece here is the integration and connection of healthcare data across platforms and companies. And I think specifically in 2022, we're going to continue to see that happen specifically with EHRs. And we're going to start to see that connection of data really happen across those types of platforms. And then lastly, really, and more overall, we're starting to see big tech continue to try to enter into the healthcare tech space with varying levels of success. A great example of this is even a recent mention is, I think it was in the last 2 weeks of December, the mention in the Wall Street Journal that Oracle is in these early discussions to potentially acquire Cerner. So I think we're going to see a lot more conversations around how big tech can really get into the healthcare technology space.
Mary, I think you raise such great points about the expansion, whether it be virtual care or decentralization of clinical trials and the popularity of using remote monitoring or wearables in that space, as well as almost the commoditization of data with data as a product and figuring out how do we integrate it, how do we act on it with artificial intelligence, combining with the cash influx and the attraction of big tech into the healthcare space, make a really exciting ecosystem as we head into this new year. I'm curious, what do you think will be the impact of these trends?
I think there'll be a couple of impacts too that really come to mind. The first one is this concept of aging from home, and obviously this elderly population, specifically I think in the US, the easiest market to talk about here. I think we'll start to see that become more of a reality over the next couple of years, specifically in 2022. Really just being able to age in your house and be able to stay home. That said, sort of like the opposite or the converse from that really is I do think we're actually going to continue to see these health disparities remain as some of these technologies, especially virtual care, as well as some of the trends in AI ML, are not quite far reaching enough or well adopted to really start to address underserved populations. So I do think we're going to actually probably in 2022, unfortunately, continue to see some of that health disparity. And my hope, honestly, is in the next 4 or 5 years, we really start to see that health disparity come down. But I do think in 2022, it's probably going to continue.
Such a great point about, the technology can really only get us so far when it comes to addressing key issues, obviously health equity and health disparities in healthcare are a huge topic across all of our sectors, but it's really going to be all about the adoption in terms of how far can healthcare technology really get us in addressing that key issue. Mary, if I am a healthcare technology leader listening to this episode, taking in all this great information you're providing about the trends that you're expecting to see and the potential impact, what would you tell me in terms of how I can really be getting ready for this next year?
I would say, given the state of the current economy and the continued pandemic, right? It doesn't really appear at this point there's a path to the end of the pandemic, so to speak. So I really think that healthcare technology companies should be really prepared for significant growth and scaling in 2022. And just being prepared for how you are going to scale is going to be really important, and being ready for that growth. I'd also say, if I'm a healthcare tech company, I'm being really open to M&A and partnership opportunities to be able to enhance and complement your existing capabilities. I think we're seeing a trend in that. You mentioned it earlier, like that ecosystem and big tech really trying to get into the door. I do think that to the extent that the healthcare tech companies can be open to M&A or partnerships is really going to be to their benefit. The last piece, and I didn't really touch upon it earlier, is this great resignation. I think technology companies specifically need to think about how they are attracting and retaining top talent in order to help them scale and grow and continue to be successful in 2022. So I think for healthcare tech companies, it's focusing on, one, your growth, but two, the talent you need to maintain that growth will really be key for healthcare tech companies' success in 2022.
The talent piece is obviously huge for so many different organizations across the sectors, but probably to your point, Mary, is so impactful to health tech, where they really need to be thinking of scale with this inflow of new money into the space and this interest from traditional big tech partners to get into new partnerships or explore new ways for them to enter into this space with existing health tech players. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the health tech space this year. So thank you so much for taking the time to take us through these trends.
No problem. Thanks, Jen.
On our next episode of Trending Health, we'll be bringing it all together and talking about the cross-sector trends that are really shaping the entire healthcare industry at large.